Welcome to the Legacy League's Week 2 post-game show presented by Sportslook Passing League. I'm Tyler. I'm here with my good friends Ian, Will, and Eric, wrapping up this week's great action on the courts here at InSports. Guys, just starting off, any games that really jumped out at you guys is really exciting, living up to some hype out here tonight?
On court one, our last game, we had Sportslook and Run TMC. Sportslook got the W, 77-65. 12-point margin. Brian Acevedo, he's obviously the engine of that team. However he plays kind of seems like that's what the team does. And he played well again tonight, which he seems to do all the time. So he's obviously a force for that team, and they have all their guys seem very in tune with each other, knowing where each other's going to be on the court. They're tremendous in transition. They get back on defense.
I'm sure the addition of Andrew Cavanaugh after being out last week helps as well.
He's not maybe a volume scorer per se, but he's able to impact the game in other ways on the boards, facilitating,
right.
And that really helps out his team. On the flip side, Run TMC, yes, they couldn't get their first win yet, but they showed some life. Nick Savali had 18 points. So I feel like they're going to turn it around, and they're not going to slip too far in our power rankings just yet. I think that would be jumping the gun a little bit.
Okay. Now, what about on court two? Some of the other games maybe that we weren't lucky enough to watch.
Yeah. Well, the second game on court two between No Limit and One Time was a close one down to the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter. It was 90-86. No Limit. However, at the very beginning of the first quarter, they got out to a 15-point lead, and it seemed like they were going to go out with an easy win. But right when Eric Rankin stepped on the court, things changed instantly, and just like that, he dropped 30 points, and he kept his team in it. And One Time, they have potential, and I really think with Eric Rankin leading the team, I think they can stay where they are in their power rankings, maybe jump up a couple spots, but we'll see in the next couple weeks.
Now that No Limit team is narrowly edged last week by the Brotherhood,
yeah.
And we actually gave them the 4 spot in our power rankings despite being 0-1 going into this week.
Yep.
Do you think that they were, after their performance tonight, they deserved that credit that we gave them?
I believe that they're right where they are, or they belong right where they are right now. They let a weaker team stay in the game for a little longer than I expected. However, I think they have some great shooters, some great team chemistry, and I really think they have some potential to go all the way this year.
Now, Eric, I saw you shaking your head. Do you disagree?
Yes. I don't believe they can go all the way. I don't believe they're in the right spot in the power rankings. And as the season unfolds, I think that will be reflected. Okay. I actually believe Sportslook is slightly underrated by us, and we'll see how they perform going forward.
Well, 2-0 team, right? Okay, Ian, anything else?
I mean, I'd have to talk about the Brotherhood Titans game. It ended up being a 79-42 score, but the Titans really played up to the Brotherhood. You know, like did not justify our putting them down in the bottom of the power rankings, but you know they really kept it tight in the first half, probably within 10 points. But the second half came out, and Russ Payton with a pedestrian 21 points led that squad to a good double-digit win.
All right. Do you guys have anyone that you really stood out today as a top performer on any team, any court, any game?
I mean, I have to go with Terrell Vargas. Dropped a good 29 points. Along with Howie Miller, who dropped 26, teammate. But I'm going to have to give it to Terrell Vargas. He dominated the game. So definitely. He's my vote.
All right.
I would have to give it over to Eric Rankin for One Time. He came in late, right after the first quarter ended, and ended up with 30 points and 7 rebounds. So very impressive game for Eric. And I just assume that he's going to continue that throughout the weeks.
Okay. Now, coming into this week, our game of the week was the Serial Killers at the Temptations. 2 undefeated teams, numbers 2 and 3 in our power rankings, and it lived up to the hype a little bit. Eric, do you want to speak about that a little bit?
It did live up to the hype. The Serial Killers barely got by, just winning 72-68, so 4-point margin. Mike Massiola with 17 points was the leading scorer for the Serial Killers. He turned in a really good game. They had very balanced scoring. They had 5 guys in double figures, and I think that's how they were able to pull out the victory there. Although the Temptations, they played well, and they showed that they are one of the teams to be reckoned with. And Carmine, obviously doing Carmine things, 24 points again tonight. And then Eric Silva, a man who didn't miss from the field last week, was 7 for 7, had 25 points this week on 80% shooting. This man cannot be stopped inside, and I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Now, we have 5 teams that are yet to have a win yet this season. Do you see any of those tides changing for any of these teams going into next week? Our winless teams would be the Airballers, the Kakambas, Run TMC, the Titans, and One Time. Do you see any of their fortunes changing going into week 3?
Well, I obviously have to say the Kakambas because they have the Airballers next week. Kakambas really fought with the Goon Squad again this week, and Airballers really didn't show too much in their game, so I'm gonna have to go with the Kakambas. Get the first win.
All right. You guys, anyone else you think?
I would have to agree with Ian on this. The Kakambas definitely have the best chance for an 0-2 start, and I have to admit that the Airballers are probably one of the weaker teams in the league. However, we'll see some improvement down the stretch.
Now, on the flip side, we have also 5 teams that are undefeated. We've got the Brotherhood, our reigning champions. We've got the Serial Killers, Goon Squad, Blood, Sweat, and Beers, as well as Sports Look. Now, do we think that these teams are going to continue their success next week, or do we see any of these teams maybe slipping up going into week 3?
I see the Serial Killers getting their first loss of the season. They have lived up to the hype, and they've shown that they deserve to be very high in the power rankings. They go against Sports Look next week. This is a giant killer. Maybe they're not the #1 ranked team on our power rankings, but they're capable of taking out anyone on any given night, given how good their team's chemistry is.
Okay. Well, appreciate the insight, guys. We hope to see you guys again next week for our week 3 coverage. Again, you can follow us at thelegacyleagues.com. You can follow the site. Also, we're on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. Follow us. Later in the week, we'll be giving you our updated power rankings as well as top plays. So be sure to check back for more exciting Legacy Leagues news. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night.